I just want to welcome you, Wanda, and I just find it so interesting. I haven't spoken to a real author in a long time on Facebook and on social media. It just appears that everybody's an author, everybody's a prophetess, everybody's an apostle, everybody, I don't know what's up with that, but
Everybody's answering their calling.
exactly. They're calling,
Yes, they're calling.
So I find it interesting that, and really looking at what you do, you've already done it. And then you're going after putting stuff out. So I want you to tell everybody about your book, the title, what it's about, and we're just going to chop it up and have a laid back conversation. This is not a formal interview where I have questions written down so rigid. We don't know where we're going to go with this conversation, and that's the way I like it. You'll like it, and I'm quite sure everybody who listens to the Lance Scurv Show knows my style. So welcome and talk to me. The title of the book and what it's about. And I'm going to be asking you some questions. We're going to go deep.
Okay, well, the title of my latest release is called What It All Comes To.
Mm-hmm.
It is a lesbian erotica book.
Mm-hmm. Wait, don't slide past that one too fast now, sweetheart. Let's say that it's a lesbian erotica book. Yes.
Yeah.
And I have to say that I was on the bus. Of course, I'm the bus driver. And in the back row today, there were two young ladies pretty much, warming up before they got in. You could tell. I kept glancing up. And they caught me because when I glanced up again, they winked at, but they both winked at me. And I was like, oh my God, they busted me. They knew I was looking. But lesbian erotica is specifically like, is it aimed toward, or is it a voice that has never been heard in erotica or not much of? Or do we need more lesbian erotica? Talk to me on that.
Well, it's, let me put it this way. It's more like, for me, what I like to call inspirational erotica.
Okay.
Lesbian erotica. Simply because of this. In everything that I do write, I always keep God in the midst of it. Because he's in the midst of all of our lives, no matter what we're doing.
Of course.
What type of life we're living. But with this erotica, it is, of course, woman on woman. But the main character does have a man. But the man is, in a sense, for show or for cover-up.
Ooh.
Basically. Yes. Because of her mother. Nyvianna is the main character, and her mother, Gloria, is this, Bible-thumping, holy-rolling preacher. Got to be perfect. She has to have the perfect image, the perfect children. And she likes that people idolize her, but her children have to be in line with that.
Right, I see.
So Nyvianna, to not shame her mother or to shame the church, she puts on the front and she dates Michael. And but
does Michael know?
No.
I was in a very similar situation that I had many advantages on that account, and I knew, but I got to really read this book.
Okay. You got to really read it.
I'm gonna take time and read it. I'm gonna enjoy that book. But okay, so Michael doesn't know. Does he suspect her lover, or how does this work?
No, because she keeps those two lives separate. Michael knows of her family, and Nyvianna has a cousin, Nyvianna, who Michael knows is a lesbian. So, but he knows that Nyvianna is real close to her cousin. So he has asked Nyvianna, is she with women? Does she like women? Of course, she always denies it.
Right.
But she's very good at keeping both lives separate.
That's got to be tough.
Yes. It's hard.
Yeah.
It becomes a challenge, mostly because of her family. Like, she has a sister, Nyvianna, her sister Gabrielle, basically hates the ground she walks on. She's more or less, she loves her, but she's jealous of her, so she still hates her in a sense.
Right.
The reason why she hates her is because Nyvianna has a different father.
Oh.
And Nyvianna's, her mother's black, her father is Puerto Rican.
Mm-hmm.
But she took so much after her father, and she's gorgeous and she's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, green eyes, the body, and her sister Gabrielle, life is a mess because her mother made her marry a man because she got pregnant, and he turned out to be a jerk, and putting it mildly.
Wow.
And so she really does not like her sister because she thinks her sister just thinks she's so perfect.
Right.
You know, besides that she's beautiful and she has the freedom to do what she want to do. You know, it bothers Gabrielle. But like I said, Gabrielle always questions her about everything she does. You know,
mm-hmm.
she comes home with a gift. You know, she knows she didn't get it from her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's getting gifts from other people. So Gabrielle tries to really, at every chance she gets, she really tries to throw Nyvianna under the bus,
mm-hmm.
you know, at every chance. So that's that family, that sibling fight thing going on right there. Yes, rivalry. And so it keeps you in there. Sometimes you just want to punch Gabrielle. I think even when I was writing the book, I really just wanted to slap her. You know?
That's some really good. That's some really good character development when the author, you know, can see the character so much as a real person. Which, of course, you know, this is what writers do. But you got angry, so that you were getting into it.
Yes, you know what? That's one thing that I can say that I love about when I write. I don't write just to write. I write to feel what I'm writing. Because if I can't feel it, I can't write it.
Right.
If I can't see it happening, it just doesn't work for me. So I really have to sit down and really think about these characters and say, how much drama can this person bring, you know? Will someone love or like this character and everything? So it takes a lot. That's why it takes me a while to write, because I go through a whole phase of feeling how they feel and going through the emotions, you know, if I was in their shoes. You know, I want to feel what my characters are going through. So, and that's in order to bring it to the paper, you know, I have to do that. Yeah. So, and then, like I said, writing these love scenes, now that was a different story.
The juicy stuff.
Oh my goodness, I enjoyed it immensely. I really did. It took me a while to write them because I am very, very detailed in the scenes, and so sometimes you have to take a break from it, or you have the AC down on about 60 and a fan on.
Yes.
And,
and a cold shower available.
Oh, yes. There were plenty of those.
Because, you know, I was just
going
going to say that because she's living a double life, she's living half of a life, because that other part that's the covering, she really doesn't want. She really wants what she wants. She wants to really be into this full time, I would assume. So when she has a chance to take off the restraints of that mandatory, I'm doing this for the cover life, it's got to be a lot of tension that's released.
Yes, she enjoys that because she becomes something she knows she could not be publicly.
Right.
You know, and it's just she takes herself through a world of fantasy and erotica that it's mind blowing, and she loves it. And I think there's one part in the book where she thought about it. She was like, well, you know, if I could strap on something and just pin Michael down, you know.
Wow, she was really on a roll then.
she was in those thoughts, you know, because she loved just being with women. It's just something about the way they made her feel.
Right.
Now, this is not to say that Michael didn't make her feel.
I was going to ask you about that.
You know. Yeah, he you know, he's a good guy. He is the one that's one of those good guys, and he believes in pampering and loving his woman, and he does it. He has a hectic work schedule, so whatever little time he does have, he spends it with her. You know, and he loves to make love to her, you know, every chance he gets, but since that he doesn't know what else she does, he thinks that
that's it.
or he's under the assumption that she's content with their relationship because, like I say, he doesn't have a lot of time to spend with her because of the way that he works. But like I say, he's one of those good guys that just only wants to love a woman. That's all he wants. A woman that's going to stand by his side, be there for him, and understand what he was trying to do. And which is his ultimate goal was to own his own construction company.
So he's ambitious.
But, yes, very. And he wanted a family and, the house, the white picket fence. He wanted all of that. But he wanted to make sure that he was financially able to have all of that.
But you know what, though? It's sad because so many women want a man like him. And it's almost like it's not fair to him that she's kind of playing him this way. I mean, in this particular scenario, and I know it's commonplace. This particular scenario is a commonplace thing, more so than we could imagine. But and in all ways too, we have men who are down low and they want the facade. But with her, I wouldn't say that she's just down. She's really in this thing. So, wow, I'm not gonna peek to the end, but I'm gonna read that book from cover to cover.
Well, you know what? Nyvianna's thing is this. She's in her 20s. Mm-hmm. She's at that stage where she believes that she's supposed to play around, have fun, enjoy life, make the mistakes, and everything. Right. So she figured this is the time to do it. I don't think she thinks about the emotional impact that it would have.
Consequences.
Yeah, and there are consequences to it, and she's not really concerned about the consequences. One, because she's getting her freak on every chance she gets, and she's loving it. She gets to be something outside of herself, right? When she's in that moment. So, but like I say, whenever she is with Michael, she still gives him love and attention, But whereas, too, they say somebody's in love and somebody just loves, you would know the difference there. And Nyvianna, she loved what she was doing. She loved the people she was doing it with. But she wasn't trying to fall in love. And that's the difference right there.
Well, do you think that in that situation, she was actually harming herself? Because sometimes, and I know from personal experience, when you hold back emotionally, when you're out there, you sometimes become cold because that button gets stuck sometimes and you want to open up a little more, but you can't. You think this might ruin her down the line? Something's got to break in that situation. She just can't. What she's doing for herself is so sweet to her that she's going to want more and more and more. And I'm not trying to find out what happens eventually because we talked about that. We're not trying to reveal anything, but that's a hot mess right there.
It is, and just think about it. It's a lot of relationships that go on like this. People that are in hot mess,
exactly,
and really don't know how to get out of it.
I've been in hot messes.
I don't think I've been in too many. I've always been I could honestly say I've always been the faithful one. I just believe in faithfulness. I never started one relationship without ending the other. Right. So, but I've had some friends who got me caught in the middle of their mess. Having to cover for them, lie for them. I'm like, wow, it was a lot. It even got physical.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was like, wow. So, yeah, I use a lot of what I know or what I've been through to write books.
Right.
I've seen how some of the outcomes, have affected people. And it was, in some situations, my heart just broke, Sometimes I was saying, well, they deserved it.
A lot of pain.
But I had to, think about it. When you have to decide on what's right and really what's wrong, that's basically what it all comes down to.
Yes.
Difference of right and wrong, So Nyvianna, she doesn't feel like she's wrong about anything because, it's her life,
Right.
And the best thing she could do is keep it out of the church, keep it out of her mother's face, out of her mother's sight, and try to continue on until she decided what she wanted to do.
Right. Right. Well,
Yeah, so
you just can't contain those kind of things, especially when, you're raging out of control like that. And then you have a life that's repressive that you're pretending to go through. And finally, you feel like a kid that hears the bell for 3:00 and summer vacation is next. You want to run out of there. So, I could imagine the tension that she feels and the explosive release that comes with it. But mentally, sometimes she's got to be like zoned out or something. Like she's not in her facade life. She's got to not be there all the time because she's fantasizing about being with her lover.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And one thing she does, I know that she does, is when she's with that person, she's with that person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when she's with Michael, although she's there with him physically, she's not always there with him mentally.
Right.
And I think that is what you were talking about earlier, is for us to keep that emotional detachment going. She knew that she wasn't trying to fall in love or anything. She was undecisive. So in order for her to continue that was to stay disconnected from them. You know how most people tell you, "Oh, I love you," just to get what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And in a sense, she uses what she has. She's a beautiful young woman, and she uses what she has to draw people in. So that's what I do love about her and everything. She keeps them separate from each other.
And she's somewhat of a seductress.
Oh yes. So her like she has a lover named Kiamba Lejeune. And now Kiamba was a lesbian, straight up lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
She had never been with men, and she actually, was in love with Nyvianna.
Mm-hmm.
And when it all came down, Kiamba was ready to come out of the closet, as they say, about her sexuality. But Nyvianna couldn't.
Right.
Under any circumstances.
Right.
As I say, for the sake of her mother to save face. And Kiamba knew this. But Kiamba wanted to move forward, to go to the next level.
Right.
And see, when you're living a life like that, you can't move on. That's like having a girlfriend and another girlfriend. You can't move on to the next level with one of them.
I know about that.
Go. Oh, you've been there, Yeah. So, and in a sense, I consider Nyvianna as being married to herself, in a sense. So, and everybody else is a side chick,
Right,
so,
right.
Because, she was married to herself.
What she wanted.
Herself,
Exactly.
And that's it. So everybody else was like really just a side chick, nothing special.
But
But
you'll find people like that, and they like the Pied Piper. You'll find someone like her who really is about satisfying herself, doing what she wants while she's in that world of hers that is hidden, and she's not gonna comply or give in or okay or whatever, but she'll have a slew of people coming after her. It's an energy thing. I've known women like this that, whether they were gay, bi, or straight, but hidden in that, except for the straight part, it's like they attracted so many people because people can sense that erotic energy brewing. It's just something when you look at not just the physical person, but when you see the energy, it's like there's something about this person. And I'm not going to use the freak word because ignorance will just say, and men are good for that too. Oh, she a freak. Why? Because she's different or she has the energy? No, she's probably advanced. She's in touch with herself. And it's not always sexual. It's life force also. But I find that there's always a trail of broken hearts when you have women like that who may have so many coming after them because the others will try their best to get with it and never get there, or maybe get a taste and go off the deep end. We should be together. I love you and all this stuff. And this person's like a cold-hearted assassin. Like, I'm moving on. You didn't eat me right. I need to be done right.
That's it. That's it. I think of it like as far as like women who are just gold diggers. They're in it for themselves.
Right.
But they get these men or women who pour everything into them.
Yeah.
And they drink it up like it's just gold.
Yeah.
But they don't give any thought as to, like I said, the emotional side of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, because of selfishness and greed.
Right.
And then even when men, you got to have one woman here, one woman here. I think I had a friend who said, I got a main woman, then I got another woman, I got this woman that does this. I'm like, wow, but all of these women are falling in love with this man.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, no, go ahead.
Have loved one.
Yeah, but there are so many women who make themselves available just for that. And I'm speaking as a man. And I've known women who have been in the same situation where, like, okay, we're speaking about lesbians now, where other women have, said, listen, I know you have somebody, but it's like there's a forbidden sweetness to sin. There's a, for stealing it. It's like, wow, we're doing this on the sly. And that goes on both sides, because one thing I want to say that I'm not going to say it's funny, but it's ironic. And I'm going to speak on lesbian relationships, and I'm not a scholar on it. I dated someone who was pretty much that way as far as like using me as a cover, but I knew it. But we were having fun, and I was into her, and we loved each other. But I basically knew that was the deal, And I had my amenities too, sometimes, that kept me there. But those women in the lesbian relationships, they will sometimes speak about the men will beat you, the men will cheat on you, the men will do this, the men will do that. And I used to bounce in a lesbian spot sometime, and I saw so much of the cheating, the beating, and I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying that it's there too. It's a human thing. It's not a bi, straight, or gay, or male, or female, transgendered, whatever. It's a human thing. These are human elements. These are human emotions that will rear its ugly head no matter what kind of relationship you have.
Okay. Well, that is true, and we can speak on lesbian relationships because I was in one for 10 years. And I can honestly say this, and I found it ironic, and I laugh at it now. But I used to tell people, no, I'm not gay. I just like, I'm with women because, I got tired of men. My thing was, when I got with women, first it was out of curiosity. It really was. And what really drew me in.
Oh, I'm gonna slow this one down a little bit. I'm not gonna let you fly past me on this one. We go see, like I said, and I'm gonna let the world know, when we spoke about doing this interview and this conversation, I said I will be a gentleman and I will not go anywhere that you won't allow me. But since you went there, I'm gonna take a peek and I'm gonna dig in that box. That's
no problem.
No, but
it's an open book.
Yeah.
You can ask me anything, really.
And you know what? The same with me. And if you listen to any one of my almost 400 shows, you can pretty much put together my whole life inside and out. Is there anything I didn't say in all those shows? If you have enough time to put it together, you'll know me and my inner secrets, and so I have nothing to hide.
Okay.
But when you said, and I'm asking things that people might want to be interested in hearing, but they're not here right now, so this is proactive. But you said that you had a curiosity. Was it because of something external, or was it internal? Meaning, was it something you saw in a movie, or peeked and saw two women doing, or was curious as to the dynamics of that relationship, and it stoked those fires that way? Or did it come from within, where it needed nothing from the outside? You knew nothing. You just knew when you saw a woman that you had like what a kid would say, strange emotions that it doesn't seem like everybody else. I'm not saying it's strange. I'm just saying it's just strange emotions from within that I knew I couldn't go to my mama and talk about. Which you like how I broke that down, right?
Yeah, I like the way you broke that down.
I told you we were gonna let it hang out.
Oh my goodness! No, it was not internal. It was external. I had met two of the most wonderful people, who became really good friends when I moved on. Let me digress.
Yes.
First of all, I was an addict, and I lost custody of my kids. And I went through all of that rip-roar to get them back. I started slowly getting back on my feet. And when I moved into this apartment complex, I met two people. Their names Angel and Gwen.
Right.
When I met them, they had already been together for 7 years. And they turned out just to be the greatest of friends, as far as helping me out, because I have 3 kids.
Right.
So I admired their relationship because I'm like, wow, does love feel like this? Does love look like this? And I'm like, is it only happening with 2 women? I said, because I knew it wasn't happening with me.
Right.
I kept going through the worst men. And I said, is it me or is it them? So, I was like, okay, I hung out with them. Nothing ever transpired. We never did a threesome or anything.
Right.
But I just hung out with them, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to see what this feels like,
I understand.
And so they introduced me to someone, and I'm not going to mention her name.
Right, I understand.
But they introduced me to her. She was younger than me, but I was just say young and naive or whatever and stuff. But she's always liked women all of her life, so as she could remember.
Well, what a perfect person to run a test run on, huh?
Hey, woman, like, hey,
high fiving.
Let me try this one. You know how I thought of that? I thought of that as a man who, oh God, just preys on a young girl that doesn't know any better. That's the way I thought of it.
But let me tell you something. My old girlfriend was like the same way, where she would like try to she'd see somebody she was interested in, and it was like she said the same thing. I feel like a dirty old man who has the nice house, the nice car, all the money, and all the tricks, and here's a young thing just walking right into the tracks when a train is coming. You know what I mean? So, and I said, man, that's so funny hearing a woman identify with that, where you would understand, because the young girl, and we're not talking about anybody underage, the young girl is mush in your hands, putty in your hands, and it's like it's almost a certain thing, and I've seen it played out dozens of times, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was about the manipulation of it, really, in it all, because one, I had 3 kids, so she's young. I think I was 24. She was 18, 19. But because of my upbringing, I had to grow up really fast.
Right.
So I was ahead of her on a lot of things.
Of course. You were older than her, then you had 3 kids, and you tasted life. You didn't taste that yet, but you tasted life. And,
right. There you go.
So she had something you wanted, and even though you had all the experience and stuff, and I don't mean just you wanted a sexual fling, it's the womanness, it's the whole thing, and better you had that experience with somebody younger, a little more naive, than somebody who was tainted maybe, and a little older, and had all types of idiosyncrasies and toxicities and stuff bringing to the plate, and you're like, I just want to have an experience, and you're trying to it's a good thing that you weren't the young thing that was in the eyes of the prey, because at least you can dictate.
I would have got turned out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You would have been strung out bad, really bad.
Yeah. So it was, like I said, it was an external thing. I wanted to try it. I was curious. Now, the one thing I can say that I did learn that was a really pivotal moment towards in my sexuality and my sexual needs. I experienced my first orgasm with a woman.
Okay. Freeze it right there. Okay.
Yeah.
You said with a woman, but
Yes.
in your intimate travels beforehand, look at me trying to sound all decent, right? Did you experience an orgasm before? And if you
No, not
did,
with a man.
not with a man. Oh,
Nope.
wow. So,
No.
do you think that if we took a time machine back before but you had the desires for a woman longer before? What I'm trying to get at is that I've known women who have kids, had sex, know what the penis, the dick, the balls. We're gonna get lewd tonight. Know all about that stuff and had it all done to them, but just could not go there, orgasm wise. But at that point, they didn't know that they liked women. But when they did realize that, they would masturbate and have orgasms because that was in their head. But with the actual man, no. No matter how good the man was, or other women said, he's fabulous, he's such a great lover, it didn't do. But when she finally got with the woman, it was like no problem. Or if she orgasmed with the man, it's because she had another woman in her head. I'm just throwing some few things at you.
Okay. What I've learned was about Wanda. I can't speak for everyone.
Right.
But as far as me, I never learned, I didn't have, in a sense, that bird and bees conversation with my parents. Growing up, I was raped, I was molested, and everything. So I was never taught to learn my body, what I'm supposed to feel, how it's supposed to feel. So being with women, excuse me, gave me an opportunity to explore that and to develop that.
I understand.
So that's where, in a sense, my orgasm came, because it wasn't about physical.
Right.
It is about mental stimulation.
Yes.
And I had never knew about mental stimulation. And see, like I said, most people get so caught up in the sex or the physical part of it, they don't understand the mental part of it, which is more gratifying than the physical. So when I experienced my first orgasm, I'm like, wow, I was supposed to have been getting this a long time ago.
Exactly.
And I didn't. So, but, the young girl, I liked her because, like Nyvianna, I got to do a lot of things.
I bet you did.
So that's how I was able to write this, because I could reflect back to when I was there.
And that's a good thing that you can put that in that, and other people who have gone through it can identify with that, and they will.
Yeah. And you know what the thing is this? Because it was out of curiosity at first, I started developing feelings for this girl. Because she was cool, we had fun, she did what I liked, I did what she liked, and it was there. Now, all the time that I'm with her, I'm saying to myself, why can't I find a man to be this way?
Right.
And people say, why do women get with women? There's a lot of reasons why women get with women, even after they've been with men.
Right.
Sometimes you just need to feel something different, and you have to do something different. And it teaches you, too. Now, I learned later on, after another relationship, that the drama of a heterosexual relationship is no different than a homosexual relationship.
Interesting.
You still go through the same mess. You go through the argument. I was never much of fighting. No, I never fought. I was married once to a man who beat me day and night.
Oh, that's not good.
And I left him the day after we buried our son. So I already knew then.
You've been through a lot. You really been through a lot. So, your writings have got to be so jam-packed with truths and insights and already just speaking with you these few minutes, it's, each episode, each segment of your individual pains, it's a bestseller all unto itself. So you have all of this to put into it, as opposed to someone who's just grabbing for straws to try to write something to sound impressive.
Right. And I think that like I said, if I can't feel it, I can't write it.
There you go.
I have to feel it. I have to know that there's an emotion that I went through that's going to be relatable to my character. And that's what I do. And when, like I said, I think the craziest thing that has ever happened to me when I was dating women was the first young girl who I was involved with. You know, we had broke up or split up. I still liked her though a lot. And I got involved with someone else, you know, but every time I was with someone else, I always thought about the other one.
Right.
So,
that's right.
You know, it's like, how can I be thinking about both of these women at the same time? But it got so crazy one time, I actually had both of them in my bed.
Oh God! Now what was that?
There was
like?
no threesome going on, but believe you me, I slept in the middle. I didn't know if I should turn left, turn right,
my God.
the ceiling. Oh yes, it was crazy.
Wow! I mean, it was like they were spending the night or something, or I mean,
yeah, because see, this is the thing. I had basically broke up with both of them. So,
I see. We're going to have a lot of conversations off air, but we can let it all hang out here as much as you can. Trust me.
It was funny, but, you know, it just happened that one wanted to come over and talk to the other one. I said, well, you know, this person's coming over talking. Okay, I'm going to be there too. And that person wanted to come over talk. So it was crazy.
Right.
After that night, I said, you know, the hell with it.
Right. You know what happened? I was in a situation where, you know, I was with two women and they were cool with it and everything was going on between all three of us and stuff like that. But it's something about, I don't know, like in the middle of the night, one of them got up and I got up and we tipped downstairs and we did our thing again. I mean, it was right. We could have did it upstairs, but with the other person there, but we just had to go and, yeah, let's do this. What is that? If you
you was liking that one just a little bit more now.
Yes.
I could have did it that way. I would have, but it was a point that was the worst night of sleep I had ever had.
I could imagine.
Because, like I said, if I turned one way, the other one would grab me and pull me back that way. And if I turned the other way, the other one would grab me. I was like, whoa, wait.
Well, you know what the secret would have been? The trick would have been, get up, go to the restroom, come back, and push the one that was, you know, push one to the other, and you sleep on the outside. And when they start up, then you're good.
No, I eventually, after about 5 hours of the back and forth, I said, you know what? Y'all had a bed. I went and got on the couch. So I left them two up there.
That would have been jacked up if they went at it. Then you would have to come back.
Like I knew they weren't going to fight. They knew I did not play the doing the fighting thing. You know, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that I learned to do when it came to those relationships, honestly, is I pretty much set expectations. And, you know, I let you know what I want, what I don't want, or whatever. And then when I'm tired, I told you I'm going to let it go.
Yeah.
And that was the way that it was. I learned that you may want to let go, but they don't let go. So, and that's how I had to think about all these characters in my book. Was when they want to let go, will the other person let go? And if not, how do they hang on? Just like in a book I wrote, my first book, Journey to the Last River, with Brian. Although he and Lolita were divorced, and Lolita let go, but Brian didn't. Lolita let go of the marriage, the love, and all that. She didn't let go of his money, though, but she let go of everything. You know, so, but Brian was still in love with her.
Right.
You know, he still loved her. So it took another woman coming in to show him the difference, that it was okay for him to let go. And when he did, he was free, you know. So, and that's one thing that, when I was in those relationships, when I let go and I realized that they couldn't let go, I had to, in a sense, step back into it for a moment to wean them off.
Right.
You know, I never wanted to break up with anyone hating me, because I like to start out as friends and I like to end as friends. So, and then it was the way that I had to go back into it and then break it off. So eventually they both left me alone. And I left them alone. I left the young cutie alone. Although I kept going back to that one, though. That was good.
Of course. There was no resistance there. There was nothing toxic there. It was just an open vessel. Literally.
Yes, literally. So, like I said, I learned a lot. I enjoyed shopping for toys and just lotions, and it was just a whole different thing. And the one thing, like I said, about a lesbian relationship is that I never got that type of attention, that love and affection and all that intimacy from a man, because it was just sex.
Yes. See, and that's what I try to tell a lot of men. When you're with your woman, try to think of yourself as a man who has no penis. Stop making it all about the penis, about the dick. Yeah. Stop, use everything else. Hold that back. Because when you really look at it, for those lesbians who do enjoy strap-ons, I mean, that's a phallic thing. So take that away, because before they get to that point, they do so much more. So much more foreplay, so much more exploring and finding those erogenous zones and, more oral. More, just in the cuddling after, not like, well, I came, so I'm going to get up and go grab a few beers and hang out with the guy and leave your woman laying there like that. And I said it on another show. I have a thing that I call aftercare. After you go down on a woman and she comes, keep your mouth on her. She's sensitive, but don't move. Just become one. Let her float off, and she wants to float off and know that you're there. Don't just get up and, just leave and leave her flat. There's so much more to it.
Yeah, get up and wang bang and.
Exactly.
Yes. And like I say, the one thing I can say is for being with women, it really taught me how I want to feel, how I want someone to touch me, and make love to me, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Sometimes just cuddling is the most intimate thing you can do. And as far as me personally, kissing is the best part of it all. It's just something about it. And I'm like, women kiss differently.
Different energy.
Totally different. Most people don't get it. And I sometimes you just can't explain it to people.
Right.
Because you really don't understand. And then I tell people, just imagine how you really feel when a woman's breast is pressed up against your chest and she's just laying there on you. It's the same feeling, whether it's two women or whatever, two men.
Right.
It's that same feeling because it all has to do with the emotion that's there, and what you're feeling inside at that moment. And if it's this female that you get aroused from, then so be it.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love that part of my life. And I gave it, like I said, did it for 10 years. And then it came time for me to really, what weighed heavy on my heart was my grandmother. Because when she found out that I was women.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes. My grandmother.
The axe dropped.
Oh, whew. That's my heart. My grandmother was my savior in a sense. She was my best friend. She was, I put it like this. My grandmother would call me at 2 o'clock in the morning to talk about sex.
Wow.
Because she loved sex. She was 74 when she died. And she died because she had a heart attack one time while she was having sex.
Oh, my God. What a way to go.
Yeah. Well, she didn't pass then.
Okay.
The doctor told her she couldn't have sex anymore.
All right, I'm not making fun of her, but we had a good friend that died having sex from a heart attack, and he was always a clown. So those of us in the inner circle, You know, we felt we had the right to joke about it. We loved him and we miss him, but we knew that he would have made a joke about it. And you know what we said about him? He came and he went.
Yep, that's it. And, you know, I laugh about that's one thing that keeps me laughing when I want to cry because I miss her so much.
Right.
You know, and like I said, when she found out that I was with women, and she called me, and she says, "I'm Wanda," and she speaks so calmly. It's just when she speaks that calmly, you just sit there. You don't move. You don't say anything. You just sit there. and she says, "Wanda, I'm going to tell you this once. This is going to be the only time I'm going to mention this." She says, "I don't like your lifestyle." She says, "It is truly an abomination, and I don't like it. You don't need to be in it." She said, "I love you because you are my blood.
Right.
No matter what, I'm going to keep loving you."
That's good that she said that.
They, yes, and she said, "But don't you bring now one of those bitches around me." And I fell out. And she says, "I'll never say another word about it, but now you know how I feel, and it's the end of the discussion." And then she hung up the phone.
So
and
that really had an effect on you.
It did, but I didn't give up women then.
Right.
You know, just because I knew she felt that way, but I didn't give it up. But I loved it because one thing that she promised that she would not do, she said she would never, ever speak to me about it again. And until the day she died, she never said another word about it.
Wow.
She honestly didn't. And we kept on with our conversation.
As normal.
You know, as normal. Well, she got to tell me about hers. I wasn't allowed to tell her about mine.
Oh, okay, right, because it's a different category.
Yeah, she wasn't, my grandmother, she was in 50s, 60s, 70s. She would never mess with a man that was over 40.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah. She just didn't. She said, "I don't do old men."
Wow.
And that kept her lively. Bingo.
Yeah.
And young men kept her lively.
Well, more power to her because she made a lot of young men happy because a lot of younger men have that older woman fantasy. You know?
And she found the ones that did. So,
wow.
And God rest her soul. I love her. Like I said, I miss her. She gave me so many lessons. You know, one thing she told me, even before I got into women, and when I was into men, she says, "Never expect a man to taste you if you haven't tasted yourself." And I'm like, so what is she talking about? You know, I was young. I think I was 19 at the time. And she's like, "What is she talking about?" And she said, "Don't just open up your pocketbook to anybody else." But okay, I don't know what you're talking about. But you know what? Later on in life, I learned what that meant. And these are the same things that I put in my book. I do it in a whole paragraph, but you get the point. You know, I put life lessons in these books.
Exactly.
And that's what I want to do. I want, like I said, when I write, I don't want to just write stuff to be telling the story, to be, to entertain. I want to, in a sense, teach. You know, I want someone to sit back and say, "Wow, I didn't know that."
Wow.
You know, and wow, I know better. So those are my intentions, rather.
Yes.
In every book that I write. And learn that we still make mistakes. You know,
course.
I'm not saying everybody's going to be perfect, but we're still going to make those mistakes in relationships and everything. But you don't have to make the same mistake twice. So,
exactly. And see, by you stringing it along with everything else, life, it's not going to be cover to cover. Just, I went down on her and she wrapped the thighs around my head and all. It's going to be, we can meet. Look, this is the way I feel about life. We meet each other on different branches of our individual trees, and our trees have many branches. So while I might meet you, if I was a lesbian and you were into women on that one particular branch and we connect, but there's still other things. You're a mother, you're a daughter, you're a person, you have emotions, you get tired sometimes, you get cranky. you're human, and we're all human. And sometimes we meet people on one individual branch of our tree and think that it has to be just that. And if we can peel back and look and see that there's more. So by having a book like this, I think that many people who don't understand will reach for it thinking it's going to be just acrobatics from cover to cover, and that's not the case.
Right, right.
Even though when it's time for that now, it's going to get down and dirty in a good way.
If people can really take the time to learn their mate, to learn what makes them laugh, what makes them smile, what makes them come.
That's very important.
Really, and really learn instead of just going in for themselves.
Yeah.
Sex would be something totally different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I was creating this book, and I had to think about, as a woman, it's hard to think about how a man would feel, but I had to try to put myself in his shoes, because all he knew is that he loved this woman, and whatever made her happy, that's what he wanted for her, and although she was screwing other people, and sometimes she was just worn out, and completely worn out, and he would ask her, what could he do?
Right.
Because it wasn't about him, it was about her. So I had to use that, and I had to, like I said, think about if it was a man, if he just wants to please his woman, what would he do? Would he sacrifice his own, just for hers? And you find most men, I'll put it like this. I found most men, no. They're going to get theirs, one way or the other.
Yes, that's true. And even we struggle also, because, you have some who are just animalistic. They're just beasts. They don't care. They'll hump on a tree until they hit the wrong piece of wood and hurt themselves. But there are some of us who, in our journey, will struggle with that and say to ourselves, you know what, I got to stop this. I can't do this. And we have struggles where we're successful for a time, and it just seems like there's one there that appears that is like, oh God, what am I getting myself into? This would drop in my lap. I can't say no. And you find yourself in bed with this person. You're like, what did I do? You feel so low on yourself. Yes, we go through those things also. And we can even be in the act thinking about it. I'm unfaithful, but look what I'm doing. Look at them cheeks coming down on my face. Like, it's so lovely, but, we take 3 and 4 showers after the act and feel bad, and we'll stay home and be loving and try to wash it off of our souls sometime in our gaining maturity in this life. So we could be in the midst of something, but I want to tell you also, it's hard to possess a penis. It is hard. Yeah, it's hard to possess a penis. Okay. To have a dick. It's a very hard thing. Why did I say it's a hard thing? Right? It's hard sometimes, right? But no, it's you're walking the earth, and this thing is so, and it's not even the dick. It's the balls. It's the testosterone, and now you're full of seed, and you're seeing all this visual stimulation and porn and women, just looking at you dressing so nice, and the scent of them, and so the whole allure of a woman, I can identify with when you speak that, because it's like, oh my God, when you're aroused as a man, you can smell a woman from 6 to 8 feet away. When she's fertile and there's a scent that's around her hairline that's strong, and you inhale, you're like, it starts from there. Yeah. And you bump into and you feel this electricity, and don't have her embracing you. It's something about nipples too. When they connect up, it's like plugging something in. It's like, but let me not go off on a tangent. Yeah, I love women, so
I got you. Well, I love men. Mm-hmm. I do, and like I said, I'm single.
Right.
I choose to stay single, and I've been celibate for well over 2 years. Because I got to the point where you get tired of the casual sex.
Yeah.
I've had the friends with benefits, you know what I'm saying? But it didn't go anywhere. That's all it was.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I had to, now you can imagine trying to write erotica scenes and sex scenes and being celibate. So that's what it was a lot of cold showers taken. There were, oh goodness.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe your fingers did the walking too. I mean,
It took a lot.
Right.
Took a lot. But I wanted to really be able to capture
right.
that moment.
You had to go there.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to go there. Even when it came to doing it with Michael, you know, I was like, okay, well, let me lay up under Michael, you know.
Right.
You know, like I said, I have to put myself there.
Of course.
And what we fail to realize is that so many of us, like I said, we're not developing relationships. We're having relations and getting into situationships in a sense. So there's nothing there. There's no content there. There's no quality there. There's nothing there. And like I said, that's why I chose to stay single until I find that person that wants to commit. But you have to commit wholeheartedly. And I like talking about love. As I say, I'm a lover of love.
Right.
You know, I don't believe that, you know, there's a perfect love.
Right.
But as we strive to make these relationships happen, we have to know what goes into it. You know, and it's a lot that really goes into it because it takes a lot to make it work and everything. So, like I said, with Nyvianna, her purpose was not trying to make a relationship work. She was just trying to screw, basically. You know,
Exactly.
have fun and enjoy it.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what some people do. They use their body, you know, as an excuse. You know, so I had a hard time dealing with it, but I had to put it out there still because it's there.
Right.
It's everywhere.
Right.
You know, I'm on Facebook, and I like to read through people's feeds because I really see that some people really go through some stuff. I'm like, and then you got to put it on Facebook. But anyway, thank you.
For real.
You know, I'm like, wow.
No, but...
And I've had a couple of instances where, you know, some people have inboxed me, you know, after I posted things, because I do try to post inspirational stuff. I'm not a religious person. I am so spiritual.
Exactly.
I don't get too religious.
The two are different.
But yeah, and some people when they inbox me, they ask me for advice. You know, I tell them, I say I have to give it to you from 3 different ways.
Right.
You know, I give it to you from a spiritual way. I'll give it to you from the human way, but then I give it to you the direct way.
Right.
So I don't tell you to choose these options. I'm giving you options.
That's a choice. How they want to take their medicine.
Yeah. So, yeah, because I can't tell you what to do, but I can give you my opinion and everything. What you do with it is on you. And so it ends up being where sometimes they use it, but sometimes people go back to the same thing.
Yeah.
Especially, like I say, it breaks my heart when women have these men that they're running after, and the man doesn't want them, and they're trying to figure out a way to get them. I was like, why are you trying to get something that doesn't want you?
Right.
But some women, I find that they're too afraid to be alone.
Isn't it
They
something?
don't know how to live with themselves. So,
and when they do,
have to take time.
And when they do, they oftentimes find that it's a very enjoyable experience, and they feared something that didn't exist at all. And they will begin to prefer that sometimes, and then it kind of adds on to the relationships afterward, that they have this base where they're so content to be with themselves. I wrote an article, it was years ago. When was the last time you took yourself out on a date and treated yourself the way you wanted to be treated? Even to the point where when you got home, you made love to yourself. I mean, the candlelights and everything. Took yourself out to dinner, went shopping, told yourself wonderful things, spent that day quietly with no one else, cutting off your phone and getting in touch with yourself. And you'll be surprised what you may find when you do that.
You find a wonderful person.
Indeed. A wonderful person who knows how to touch you the way you need to be touched.
That's it. You find a wonderful person. You know, that's when I decided to take a sabbatical from all relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I took time to learn myself again. I had to redevelop myself, you know, and basically start over.
Mm-hmm.
And every day I carried a mirror. I always had a mirror with me. And I look in the mirror, and I would tell myself every day, you know, you're beautiful, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or you're special, or you deserve the best.
That's right.
You know, nobody can love you better than you except God.
That's right.
Those are the things that I would tell myself and encourage myself with every day. Spending time with myself. Yes, it got lonely, don't get me wrong. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you just want the comfort of a body next to you.
That's right.
But, you know, I had to think about, I was like, okay, I don't want to get back into that cycle I was in, just
Mm-hmm.
choosing men just to be choosing them. Me and my daughter, I'll say my oldest daughter, we have this thing whereas we would take somebody that's broken, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and try and hopefully piece them together so that they can see how much of a whole person they are.
Right.
And sometimes it didn't always work out, but we don't give up. You know, we still try until there's nothing else we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, some people try to take broken people and mend them together into what they want them to be. But you can't do that either. And everybody ends up losing in the end. With me, I just believe in helping people at this point.
Right.
You know, I believe everybody has shortcomings.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody fall down. You get to that point.
You're right.
You know, and sometimes all you need is just one person to help you. Now, if someone helps you up, if you choose not to walk on your own after that, that's on you. But as long as you know that you have somebody that's helped you, you should want to do better.
That's right.
You know, or to get back up again. So, and that's my thing. I'm learning to know when and when not to. And when I'm writing stories about people who say that they can never find anybody, or all men are dogs and all women are gold diggers or whores and all of that stuff, you know, I have to take what I learned and, you know, and try to give people a different view on it. Maybe it's not them.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's not them. So, yeah, and that's what I had to do with myself.
Mm-hmm.
and really say, hey, maybe it's not them, it's me. You know, I can't keep doing this. So, and then I start setting those standards. And, you know, as I tell my daughter, I say, you don't have to have a rich man that's going to make you happy. I said, you can find somebody who has just what you have, and you both build up from there.
That's right.
I said, but always get somebody who at least have everything that you have.
That's exactly. And has some ambition and desire to build in the long haul. But you said something kind of funny about the all men or dogs thing. I just wanted to throw this in on that I've run into women who always think that, some who believe in that because they've been dogged out, and I don't blame them. That's a defense mechanism. But I found that when those types who will say that, yes, all men are dogs, when they find a good man, sometimes they'll reject him if they can't find anything wrong with him over time. And I mean over time, where they see that, they'll go through his phone, they'll look at him in the reflection of the store window to see if he's looking at this girl's ass walking by, who she knows has a banging ass. It's like he didn't even look. Oh my God. So they can't handle that because they have to revamp everything they knew of the bad men. And I always say that if there is someone for you, lots of times we'll go for a test run with vehicles that weren't meant for us. There's always that one. Many people have different feelings on that, but they say, well, let me learn. And I do believe in lots of dating in hindsight now, because I was the dirtiest dog you'd ever want to see, but I was never a predator. I would let you know. I would say, listen, this is the deal. And if we go out, you're going to have a wonderful time. But when you don't see me, who knows? But when I'm with you, you'll get the respect as if you're my woman.
There you go. Yeah, somebody told me that once.
Wait a second. That was you? No, I'm just playing with you.
I was like, okay, I got you. Oh, while I'm with you, I'm going to be feeling like you're a woman, but, you know, hey.
But see, the thing is, they had other people interests also, and I wasn't going to be Or say, oh, no, I like you and it's just you. And when you're not around, I'm looking at your pictures and playing with myself and calling your name. And no. But, I think women like honesty also. And then they can choose. Because the funny part about it is there are a lot of women out here who are like, okay, I'm cool with that because I'm doing the same thing you are. The main thing is be friends, like each other, hang with each other, and be honest. When you can be free with someone, completely free, that's the ultimate because there's no tension. You can say what it is that's on your mind. You can be the best of buddies. You want the person that you're with to be that person that you can tell secrets to, and they know you, true. And you can be free.
Yeah, and I think some people nowadays, they have this dating thing. I don't know. They have so many definitions of it. Whereas dating to me means that, okay, yeah, we can go out on dates, but I can go out on a date with somebody else tomorrow. That's dating to me. We're not developing a relationship. We're just hanging. That's dating.
Right.
Now, I've gotten to the point, I'm 46 years old. Mm-hmm. So I've gotten to the point.
You're a baby. I got 5 years on you, but anyway.
Sometimes, boy, you're old. But no, I've gotten to the point in relation. I'm to the point at this time in my life where you can decide whether either you want to try something, try to make this work as a relationship,
right?
Or we just be friends. So, but don't expect the benefits of a relationship.
Right.
I can't do that. To me, that's like pretending. Mm-hmm. Because when I love hard. That's the only way I want to love. That's the only way I know how to love.
That's right, and that's special. That's special.
Yeah. So, and then I can either give you all of me, or I decide to see you. That's all. That's. It's no in between. There's no gray area. There's no reading in between the lines. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. And like I said, when I write books, I do that in my books. People have to decide. It doesn't take that long to decide if you really want to be with someone.
Right.
You have to learn to ask the important and relevant questions that will make a difference in that relationship.
Right.
As I say, I cut y'all the dating scene. I tell people I cut y'all dating scene. Y'all do it 6 months. I can probably do it in about 3 days. I know in 3 days if I really want to try and move forward with you.
Right.
So, and I think outside of the box. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but that's the way I think.
Yes.
I believe in building bridges before you get to them.
That's right.
So therefore, if we have to tear them down, we good.
Exactly.
So, and most people do not get that concept. And I tell people, show me the worst part of you first, and then I can love the best parts of you, but show me the worst because I have to make sure I'm able to deal with that. So, and most people don't get that. So
they put their best side first, and it goes downhill from there. I don't want you to see my best sides. I want you to see me with stuff in the corner of my eye and morning breath and the cover lines of this. No, I'm not going to say it like that. But no, but most people are not even able to reveal that. That in itself should tell you something about them. That in time, when you gave them the chance, and with that, maybe you might want to be a little more specific when you ask, in different categories, if they can't say it. Because most people have not really thought about speaking on their worst sides or their most underdeveloped sides or sides that need work. We, most of the time, spend our time putting up a front. We could bang our shin in the coffee table in the middle of the night and then all of a sudden get a call. How are you feeling? Oh, I'm okay. Now, you're rubbing your shin and it's hurting. Somebody may say, hey, are you okay? Are you all right? You need anything? And you could be hungry as heck, and you're not saying anything. Why can't we be honest with ourselves first? I try to do that. So the things I say sometimes, I can't believe you said that. That's just how it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? That falls up under as far as thievery. Whereas when you're putting your best foot forward, all the good side first, and you're basically stealing someone's heart and someone's attention. And their choice. Because later you may have some demons, boy, that but fell in love at this point, So it's like, wow, you stole my choice, because if I would have known that then, I wouldn't have gotten this far.
That's right.
I wouldn't have fallen for you,
That's right.
because that's something that I can't tolerate. So I could always say, I don't like a thief and I don't like a liar.
Right.
That's why it was really hard for me to, when it came to writing about Nyvianna, I'm like, oh, goodness, she's the biggest liar there.
So you had to get angry at her, but you had to put it down the way it was,
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, and I'm sitting there writing it. Now I'm writing, I'm like, well, Nyvianna, why can't you just be honest? Just tell her. And I'm arguing with her, in the book. It's funny, and I sit in the room and just laugh at myself, because I'm talking to these characters as though they're in the room with me. And, next to me, they're saying, well, put this in here. I want to do that. So that's how that's the reason why I really love writing, because it gives me that place where no one else understands except for another writer.
Right.
And just pure enjoyment, and I want to keep doing it. I think I have like 2 more titles that I'm getting ready to write. So, and again, still the same message will be there, but with a different storyline, different drama, and everything, but you still get the message. I always want to encourage people to build relationships, not only with people, but mostly to build a relationship with Christ. I'm a strong believer in that.
Yes.
And most people don't, because one, they say you can't live in sin and live with Christ at the same time.
But see, you have to be aware of Christ when you're in sin. I mean, it's not a cutoff point, because Christ never leaves you. It's us who cut the connection when we're doing our dirt, or God is always there. He's always there. It's us who just cut that connection. He never leaves us.
We refuse to recognize it.
Right.
We want to justify it. It kills me that some people can justify what they do. I had a married man once that, and I did married men. I did.
Yeah.
I've done them.
Right.
I did all types of relationships. I did. I learned a lot of lessons in these relationships. But when it came to, I found myself falling for a married man, and I had to think, I'm like, well, fool, what are you doing? So, like, he has a wife. He's not leaving his wife.
Right.
Then it came to the point where I'm like, okay, wait a minute. If I'm going to be that sideline, I need to get, really paid for this. That's the way it came. So I learned to separate some business and pleasure. You got a wife, you can get that at home for free. This is extra.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, and then one guy, like, if I was with him, we did it everywhere else except for in the bed. Because his thing was, he says, I don't feel like I'm cheating if I'm not in you.
Wow. So many people have these thoughts like that it is cheating. I mean, come on.
I know. But he tried to justify it. He really did.
Wow.
So I was like, wow, really? Okay. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I still am floored when I see 40, 50-year-olds doing stuff that really 20-year-olds should be doing, screwing up, messing up, and, it's just crazy.
Well,
And...
Oh, no, but...
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's... I'm blaming Facebook. I'm blaming YouTube. I'm not going to blame Twitter that much, because Twitter, to me, attracts people on a... You got idiots on Twitter. I understand that, but it's a higher intellectual thing to me on Twitter, because make your point and get out of here type thing. Facebook... You can rekindle old feelings. YouTube, you can, remember back in the day, I forgot what year it was, 82, I think it was, 82 or 83, when Michael Jackson came out during the Motown Awards and sung Billie Jean, and everybody the next day was talking about how he did the moonwalk and how he was such a big thing, but you had to see it on TV, and it was just a memory. But now you can go back and play that over and over again. You can play songs when you were a teenager over and over again, and see TV shows from when you were raised up at this house or in this neighborhood. And we kind of forget what age we are because we can actually go back and feel the feelings. We can go on an old lover's Facebook page and look at their pictures now and don't contact them because you'll be up shooting messages back and forth and making plans and, well, I'll be at the mall 2 a.m. I'm going to start jogging now. You're going to jog around that time? And no jogging goes on except a whole lot of sweating in the back seat. So, it blurs everything. You see,
Yes.
and we have time to do this before. There are people who we wouldn't even be in contact with right now if it wasn't for Facebook, it could be used as a good thing. But things happen and our ages get blurred. I have to tell myself that next month I'm going to be 51. And I'm trying to curtail my habits or inclinations to do bad things. I try to be a saint. I try. But, it has extended my feeling that I can do anything. And I'm a married man and I'm doing good. You know what I mean? I'm doing real good. But I have that other beast inside me, like the Incredible Hulk. See, and I'm trying to keep him from coming out. And all men deal with that. I admit it. Others don't. Oh no, I'm over that. That was when I was in my 20s or whatnot. Yeah, but you got that porno under your daggone mattress. So it's a thing where we kind of forget. And when does it end?
Well, it doesn't, because guess what? You're human, you're a man, and you have a brain. So it's a constant thing. They say we sin in thought, actions, and but either way we still sin. So they say we're never going to be perfect. The sin only comes in when you actually partake in that thought.
Yeah.
And that's the difference right there. And when you have Christ is what sustains you and keeps you from that.
Right.
I'm not. I have to say, Christ has sustained me a lot because I'm usually. I used to be a very vindictive, spiteful person. I did. If you hurt me, I had to hurt you back. That was just the way I thought. And it got to that point where I had so much anger built inside that it was controlling me. And like I said, I had to take a minute and just sit back and do a self-awareness check. What's going on? Why is all this anger in there? So when I did that, like I said, I had to release a lot of demons. I really did. Yeah. And I live so peacefully now because I don't look over my shoulders. I don't worry about as far as what anyone is saying about me. I am who I am. I tell people, I'm a cursing Christian. and that's where they say, God knows me.
It's just spicy words. It's just words with a little spice to it, that's all.
Okay. Oh, is that what it is? Okay. I like the way you put sugar on that one, but okay.
But check it out, though. It's like this. I can say, I'm going to use a B word, right? And I know folks out there don't like it, but I'm just using this as an example. A person can say, a girlfriend of yours can say, good morning, bitch. I love you. And you're like, girl, you're so crazy. Or I can say, good morning, bitch. Or better yet, I can say, good morning without the bitch. A certain way and look you up and down while saying it technically all I said was good morning, but the way I say good morning lets you know I can't stand the ground you walk on. You see what I mean? So it's how we say it. It's does it have venom when we say it? You see? Right. And so many people have that in their heart, that venom. So it's not the word, that's just wind.
Yeah.
What's in your heart?
Well, if that's the case, then I just have wind going on because I don't have that venom in me. I had to let that go because it's poisoning. It really is. If I was liking a guy or something and he didn't like me for my physical attributes because I'm a plus size woman, and then I used to go off. I'm like, okay, you and all that, you're short dick,
a 2-inch, 2-minute brother.
Whoa, like, Mom. But I had to go there, but then I had to try to do a stop. You know, I
Right.
had to put that stop sign on me, and I said, you know what? I have to be happy with who I am. You know, all my extra inches and hips and thighs and all of that. I know who I am as a person. I know who I am as a woman. I know who I am as a mother.
That's right.
You know, and that's what people have to accept. And because someone isn't attracted to me, I can accept that. You know, because I'm not attracted to everybody either. You know, so
Right.
but the whole thing was that because I felt I was entitled, let's just say,
Yeah.
to be with or choose whoever I wanted to be with, you know, I had to get off that pedestal. You know, and when you get off your own pedestals, you learn to look at yourself and keep your feet planted
Right.
on that solid ground, and you become a solid person, and you know who you are. So, and that's what I had to do. And I said, the biggest challenge for me as an author is trying to get people to understand that, you know, when you're writing a storyline, because I find that most people, you know, they just want the drama and all the mess and nothing else with it. But I have to put a message in there.
That's right.
I want to encourage women to be better, you know, to have that self-respect, and to know that they are worthy, you know. But if you have a nasty attitude about everything,
Yeah.
and you speak negatively about everything, well, all men are dogs, and, you know, ain't no good men out there, and, you know,
That's
everybody
terrible.
just jealous. I mean, it's bad, you know. And then also to encourage these women that have these young children to understand that their children will grow up to emulate everything that they do.
Everything. Oh, my
So,
God.
and that's what I put. I put parenting in there. Like in my second book, In the Midst of Change, I talk about a young girl. She's 27. She has a 9-year-old son. But she works her butt off to make sure he has, you know, and she takes care of her child. And she's putting men off because, one, she doesn't want to keep bringing a man around her child. And that's what I found that a lot of these young girls do. They keep bringing man after man after man after man
Very
around their
confusing.
children. Yeah, you know, they got a whole bunch of uncles they're not even related to. So I wanted to bring that out in that book about her, how, you know, she's okay with sacrificing everything for herself for the sake of her child.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we should do. Like I said, I put messages in there, but I put storylines in there that have the messages in it. You know, you just have to really think about this character, you know, her position, her place, or his position, and everything, and really see what their life is about, you know, and maybe you might know someone
That's right.
who's going through that same thing, you know, and that's the purpose of all of this, is to take everything that I've learned, you know, I've been through, and then put it in these stories,
Yes.
and to make people think,
That's right.
you know, and
That's
just really hold a mirror up, and that's my ultimate goal in this and everything. So, but it took a lot to get to this point. You know, it took me to hit rock bottom in a lot of areas of my life
And
to
see,
really understand it.
yeah, and see, that to me is the ultimate purpose of art in any form, whether it be painting or singing or acting or writing, to be able to show someone in a situation the answer to how to get out of it or to evolve out of it from within or from around the people that are around you. Instead of just, you want the entertainment factor, of course, but to also have the answer where you can come away from that art form with something. And you'll find that when it's based on principle and not just mere fad, that your artwork, your work, your writing, because it's all from the soul, it's all creativity, no matter how it's manifest, that it will live on forever, because the human condition and human nature as it is, unfortunately, will go on as far as the tragedies and the mistakes and different bad choices that we make. So those things, whether it's this book is 50 years old one day or 100 years old, yes, the whole surrounding will change, but they can look past that because it's about human nature and the answers.
Yeah. And then with this book, like what it all comes to, which is a lesbian erotica, and as I said before, is that, Nyvianna is trying to,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, save face, for her mother's sake, the church and everything, not to shame her mother or anything. It also deals with how society accepts,
Mm-hmm.
gays and lesbians,
Mm-hmm.
how everybody wants to say that's a abomination, and they want to point out that as a sin.
Mm-hmm.
My pastor, Reverend Jermaine J. Marshall, a member of Mount Olive CME
Mm-hmm.
In Orlando, and he spoke on that as well. About how people point out just one particular sin. They want to color that sin as the worst sin. But a sin is a sin. As I said, no matter which bucket you want to put it in or pour it out of, it's still going to be a sin. And they think that there's 10 commandments, but there's over 600 sins listed in the Bible.
Yes.
So, and then you have church folks who keep people not just away from the church, but keep them actually away from God, amazingly.
Isn't that something?
And, yeah, that is something. And that's what I wanted to bring out in the book, whereas when Nyvianna had to come to terms with what she was doing, she really had to come to terms with God.
Right.
On a lot of things. So, not to give the book away or anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Be careful now. Be careful.
I am being very careful. But she had to come to as they say, she had to come to Jesus meeting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but she realized that it wasn't even so much about the life she was living that kept her, but it was about the people who judged her that kept her.
Right.
And that's our problem today. We need to stop judging people and putting one sin over the other.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody ought to be welcome in God's house because God says, come as you are.
Yeah, yeah.
The difference is once you come,
You can't stay that way.
you can't stay that way.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, understand, we're not perfect. We're human beings.
Right. Exactly.
We're never going to be perfect. So, yes, we're going to sin one way or the other. So, but it still is a come as you are. And as long as this is my opinion now. I don't want to get anybody all riled up. My thing is this. I am a Christian. And I say that because I am Christ-like in my heart.
Right.
I serve. I give. I help. And that's what Christianity is all about.
Mm-hmm.
I can honestly say that as a Christian, and I ask God every day to forgive me, although this hasn't come into my path, but like pedophiles.
Yeah.
Because of my upbringing, I was molested at age 7. The first time. So I have no understanding, no comprehension of pedophiles.
I can understand.
I don't. I'm not going to say I hate them or I despise them. I just want nothing to do with them.
Exactly. I don't understand them either. And you're a lot further along by saying that you don't hate them. I dislike them intensely. God has blessed me in my childhood never to have been put in that unfortunate situation. So my heart goes out to those who have, because it's so many of us who have. So many of us. And even if they say that 1/3 of this has, it's a lot more, because that third might be talking about it. It's got to be more than half. And, it's so much pain and it sets a ripple effect throughout our lives that sometimes we can't recuperate from. And people have got to understand that just because it happened to you, it's not your fault. It doesn't mean that that you're abnormal or anything. No, that person did that. And you are to embrace and love yourself and understand that God loves you. God made you the way you are. And if somebody interfered with that, that's their sin. And God will heal everything up. But it's a lot of that. And that's its own discussion. And like I said, you have been through so much that it's really a miracle that you are of sane mind to be able to accomplish what you accomplish by expressing yourself through your writings.
Yeah, thank you. It, as I say, I didn't know it then, but I know now it was nobody but God. Because believe you me, there came a lot of times where I really wanted to kill myself.
I understand.
Because I was like, I have no purpose. There's nothing. I feel like my life is ruined. I serve no purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank God that I was delivered from that thought.
Right.
And now I know that all that I've been through, there's a reason behind it. And it's just as long as I have breath in my body, and I'm in my right mind.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you are.
I'm going to keep writing and everything.
That's right.
Although I just released this book, What It All Comes to, the Lesbian Erotica, I'm actually working on a sequel to it as well.
Wow.
Yeah, I did leave a cliffhanger there. I did.
Hey, that's a good thing.
Yeah. I purposely left a cliffhanger.
Well,
sometimes I like to really, when I write stuff, I like to leave it at a certain way, not for the purpose of making anyone mad or anything, but really for you to take what you've read and imagine your own ending. Just like you can take your life, from today or whatever happened, the worst part that happened 2 days ago, 5 years ago,
mm-hmm.
and imagine how the ending could be if this, or this happened, or if this, and this didn't happen.
Wow.
And that's what I like to leave the readers with. You have to leave the readers with something to think about.
Yes.
They have to think about their life, as a whole, or maybe someone else, and see how they can help them. Although this is fiction, but I try to make everything possible.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in divine intervention. I believe you can't explain sometimes how things happen, and you're like, wow, that wasn't supposed to happen, but it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I say there's nothing but God there. And most people have to get that. So, and that's what I love about books and everything, because it takes your mind to a totally different place,
mm-hmm.
thought process and everything. So
mm-hmm.
that's what's so enjoyable. And so writing it is even more enjoyable.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So.
Wow.
So you definitely have to, read the book.
Oh yeah, and I won't give away the ending or anything, but I will be talking about it. And we got to sit down and since we're in the same town, whenever we're free, sit down and do a video together talking about the book and put that up on YouTube along with this, and all of that stuff. Whenever you're ready, I just like doing this kind of thing, because if it can reach, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say I will be holding a book signing.
When?
I'll be holding it on May 24th.
Okay.
At 3:00.
That is, I'm so out of it with dates. That's Monday. Oh no.
No.
Yeah.
May 24th.
Oh, May. Okay.
Yeah, I'm giving myself enough time to really plan I would say an event. I don't want it to be just a book signing.
Right.
What I'm looking to do is, of course, sell books, sign, and everything. But if I want to, after the signing, I really want to sit down with the readers,
right.
And have a discussion where they can ask me any questions that they want. Just really make it a nice afternoon, basically.
Yes, I'll definitely be there. So. I'll definitely be
there. Okay.
Exactly, and my camera.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what they're like. I said, it's going to be May 24th. I'll be posting things on Facebook and keep you informed. But I know that we'll be talking again before.
Oh
then.
Yes, frequently. Yes, definitely.
And everything. So like I say, I'm just excited about it. I really am. This was a long time coming.
Yes.
This book that I just released, I actually started it in 2009.
So this has been a long time coming. So you really put some hard work, elbow grease, and some sweat into this, huh?
Yeah, it really, and it's my shortest novel. But the reason why it took as long is simply because I had to pray on it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had to figure out what type of message could I deliver in this book.
Right.
Even with the sex that's going on in there, how does God fit in?
Mm-hmm.
And that took a minute. And I could write something and it was going the wrong way, so I would start it over.
Right, I understand.
You know, yeah. So, and like I said, I love this book because, like I said, it focuses on lies, deception. It focuses on how people are in the church.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how gays and lesbians are treated because they love someone of the same sex, which is a natural emotion to love, and how they're ostracized for that, you know, and then the consequences of our actions.
Yeah.
So I wanted all of that in there. And everything.
That's a series as far as I'm concerned, because you're going to touch on so many things that you're going to have to come back with other books that lean toward touching on some of the other things while maintaining the other elements from the original book. So
right.
I believe you have your work cut out for you. Bottom line. Yeah, trust me.
I believe I do too.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just, I have to pray on them first. I don't just write. I just don't. I can't. And but yeah, I want to always have those things that teach us.
Right. And I think also to focus in on the lesbian community, not to leave anybody else out, but there are things that many who may be in that situation, you know, of, how do you say it? Nyvianna? Am I saying it right? Nyvianna. Okay, yeah. All right. But they may find themselves in that situation and that person, and with all of the imbalanced people that are out here, with all of the people out here who have diseases, you know, you may not want to be that person. Of course, you want to be free and explore. And I have to say that at my age, you know, when I had my period of exploration and freedom, doing that, which we're all free to a certain point, you know, AIDS wasn't around the way it was. You know, I mean, I started it as a young teen, and I remember the late 70s. Oh, what a wonderful time that was. And I looked a lot older than what I was. So I had experiences that, you know, that blew my mind, among other things. So it's so dangerous now. There are so many imbalanced people that you got to be careful who you open up to and give that experience of sexuality and erotica. It will blow their mind, and if they can't have you and own you and dominate you, they'll come to kill you. Some of these people, because remember, driving the bus, I overhear conversations after conversation, and the arguments and the stalkers that are stalking these women, and you know, I've overheard men cursing out women. If I see you again, and I'm like, well, what did she do? You know, one guy was so mad, and he was telling me some stuff after I heard him on the phone, threatening this woman that wasn't his woman. So I said, listen, bro, you know, not to be nosy, man, we've always been cool. You know, I don't know you really super personal or anything, but, you know, you talk about this young lady to me, but I heard you back there on the phone. What is it that she did to you? Did you have a relationship? Did she cheat on you? And, you know, and I'm like, what? Nah, man, ain't no girl gonna suck my dick like that and blow my mind and have me want it like that and just run off like that. No, hell no, you ain't giving that shit to nobody else.
Wow.
Hey, I had to say it that way. Don't let my gentleman-like demeanor fool you. But
But you know what? And she probably knew exactly what she was doing to get him to that certain point. Like I said, she's not thinking about the after effects or the consequences of her actions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take it for what it is, enjoy it, and let him move on. You know?
And let him go.
And maybe you'll get it again.
From somebody else.
Maybe better.
You know, I truly have to come and ride that bus with you.
Please do.
And everything. So I just didn't get the other storyline. But I know I will be writing, excuse me, I will be writing another story that will deal with domestic violence.
Yes.
Of it all. I haven't really touched that book yet. Or I have it as I said, I have it in my head. It's just not on paper.
Right. No, I understand.
But I would definitely have to touch on that one because it's sad that so many women are dying, you know, at the hands of their lovers, and it's saddening, you know, to hear these stories. And because I went through that, like I say, my husband, while we were, as they say, courting, before we got married, Never. We argued. We had our differences. Don't get me wrong. We argued. But the day we got married, when I tell you, if I had never seen Satan before, I saw Satan on that day.
That's the same day he knew he had you. Ain't that something?
And I'm telling you, this man gave me a look that scared me to death. I can't even explain that. I tell people, he looked at me like, you're mine. You're my property. I own you. That's the way it was. And believe it or not, we got married on a Saturday. We did not consummate our marriage till Monday. Because, why? He decides he all of a sudden hated everybody in my family.
Wow.
And didn't hate anybody before, but he hated everybody. And then we argued, and he actually slapped me. I was like, wow.
What?
Wow. That evening we got married, he actually slapped me. So, and I was too ashamed, to walk away. I was scared.
Yeah.
So, and I took meetings. I took meetings every day or every other day, it seemed like. I don't know. It just got to be so many, and I finally was to the point where I said I wanted to actually commit suicide, but I had my child inside of me. So I said, if I kill myself, I kill this baby.
Right.
That was, I can't even explain the feeling that I was going through or what I was going through. But I got on my knees and I just prayed. I cried and I prayed and I cried and I prayed. But then when it came time, I knew that my son was not going to survive. I already knew I was having a boy, and he was not going to survive. So, but in a sense, when I tell you, I truly believe in divine intervention.
Yes.
I believe in divine intervention because God came in at that point. But the sad part was I was given instructions. I was to give birth to this child, but I still could not leave my husband. I was only allowed to leave my husband the day after I buried my son. So after, we came home from the hospital, of course, my husband beat me and blamed me for his death.
Oh, God.
But he threw me like 20 feet. Before I went into labor. Yeah, it was sad. I took a lot of beatings. And,
I don't understand that.
I still don't understand it to this day. And then, back then where they were starting to allow women to hold their child for a while before they took the baby away, even though the baby was dead.
Yeah.
So they had to actually remove my husband out of the hospital room because my husband didn't want me to hold him or anything. He just told them to take him to the, the morgue and call it wonderful. So they had to call security and have him removed out of the room just for me to spend time with him.
But he didn't understand the importance. He didn't understand the importance of making that connection, even though it was an unfortunate situation. But it would do so much for you.
He didn't care.
It's a nonverbal thing. It's like a bonding of sorts, of saying not just goodbye, but so long. And remember, you carried this child and this just, I don't understand.
I didn't understand him. And it's the thing that bothered me most is that he would put on the front in front of people like he was the sweetest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, kindness, most caring person there was.
And people would come at you and say, oh, this couldn't be true. He is such a nice person. Oh, he's the ideal whatever. Yes. And he's looking at you with the evil eye like, you better not say anything.
Yes. Yes. And that was the way it was. So, like I said, after that, and then after I buried our son, I left him. I didn't take anything that belonged to the baby. I took a blanket and a little ball. That's all I had. And the blanket we wrapped him up in, when he was born. And I left. I left with the clothes on my back, and I took my daughter's clothes. I left, and I never went back. And the sad part is, some of these women today, they leave, and they go back, and then they die.
Wow.
I'm like, had I gone back, what would have happened? Would I be here today? You probably wouldn't in one piece, or you would have turned that pain in on yourself with regret why you did, and you would have internalized a lot of the stuff that he put on you. Right. And then I'm like, oh, I couldn't imagine the life I would have given my children. You know what I'm saying? The grief I probably would have sent them through, an agony and misery.
That's right.
You know, but the one thing we were talking about Facebook earlier, how Facebook has allowed us to connect to people that we haven't seen in years, that, you know, we've lost touch with. Would you believe that I found my ex-husband on Facebook?
Oh, playing that sweet little role, huh?
Oh, yes. And I think he came in my feed through somebody else's feed or something like that. But I actually wrote him a letter on Facebook, of course, and I let him know that, you know, I forgave him.
Wow.
I forgive him for everything. You know, even for the death of our son, I forgave him. You know, for the beatings, you know, the lies and everything else he did to me, I forgave him. And I wrote him a nice letter just to let him know I forgave him. So it felt good to be able to do that simply because
yes,
release. That was the only, yes. Well, you know what? I had moved on. Don't get me wrong. I had moved on, and I had dealt with it. I'm like, it is what it is. He's never going to apologize. He's never going to admit it.
Right.
So let me just go ahead and still just free him from his own self-denial. So I wrote him a letter. Of course, he blocked me, did everything, though, but that was cool. You know, so that lets me know that he hasn't still admitted it to himself.
Right.
You know, he's still in denial. And I'm okay with that because I'm free. I can tell you this, as an addict, what you learn to do, you learn to go back and resolve everything that had potential to destroy you or break you down. So that was the last thing on my list to resolve because I've always wanted to have an opportunity to let him know that I forgive him. And Facebook actually gave me that opportunity to do so. Now, I don't care if I ever, never see him again. It's okay with me.
That's the upside. Yeah, but that's the upside to Facebook. You know, it's not all bad. You know, Facebook is like fire. You know, fire could be a good thing because it cooks our food and keeps our homes warm. But it can be a bad thing because it can burn our house down. So we have to walk the fine line with it. But that gave you an opportunity, and it's like a game of tag. You know, you tagged him and he's it. So he can block you all. You know the message went through. You got the last laugh. So he can play his game all he wants. It's like the Teddy Pendergrass song, You Can't Hide From Yourself. So he can go on playing the game until God calls him, or he can face up. And really, if he does change within himself, he should, I would look for it, unblock you and send you a message back and say, you know what? I'm sorry. And you were right in what you said. And thank you for forgiving me. And I'm sorry for all I've done. I know, and specifically write it out. And I think, you know, if he doesn't change, you'll never hear from him. If he does, you will. Yeah.
And do you know, I would probably just get up and start shouting hallelujah.
Yes, yes. Now listen, sister, I wouldn't say hold your breath waiting for it. It may take a couple years, you know what I mean? But
I wasn't going to hold my breath to begin.
Exactly. No, but you're already free. You're already free, and that's the main thing. It's on him now. You tagged him. He's it. He's the one with the mess on his pants. You know, he's got to see that. And you know what I say is that whenever it comes to the facade that people bring into relationships and they want to say it's the other person, because you know whoever else he ever deals with or talks to in depth enough to, when they inquire about a marriage or other relationships and he speaks on you, you know it's going to be all your fault, and he's going to tell the story the way he wants if he's not changed. That's the way it goes, you know.
Yeah. So, you know, it was funny was after I left him, I don't know if his friends asked him why I left or what was the circumstances in which I left. Of course, he's not going to tell them. I'm quite sure he told them his own story or version of it. But he actually came to, I had to move back in with my mom, but he actually came to my mom's house and drugged me out of the house. He told me that I am not allowed to leave him. How did he say? I will not be an embarrassment to him.
Oh, so he's more concerned about the outside instead of just cultivating something from the inside and making it where it's just something beautiful. I mean, it's just like you're there to fulfill a role. Is that what it was? I mean, just you're not going to embarrass him. Oh, he can do whatever he wants to do to you, and you can't. Look how. Wait a second. Look how crazy that sounds. He could smack you up, toss you 20 feet, do this, do that, embarrass and hurt you. Forget the embarrassment, destroy you. But yet, by you doing the normal thing that anybody would expect to leave or go somewhere else, you're embarrassing him. How self-centered can you get? Oh, God.
Mr. Stanley.
Embarrassing him.
So.
How dare he?
And then that's another reason, like I say, I'm at this point in my life where, let me digress again. Where people always say they take that baggage with them and everything. I had to bury all of my baggage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, I had to bury that one like 12 feet deep. With him.
Exactly. And put stones over it.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. And lay some more concrete on top of it. But because I don't want to take that hurt into any relationship that I have. I have to let everyone be held accountable for his own actions, period. And that's the way that I live now. You are responsible for you and what you do.
That's right.
Cause
and effect.
Whatever you do not blame it on me. Because
right.
One thing I'll always give you an opportunity to do, I'll always give you an opportunity to leave. The door will be open. So, but that's why I don't bring anything. I'm not going to blame you for what someone else has done to me.
Right.
I won't do that. I have to be fair, and I expect the same. And that's where, again, a lot of relationships fail, because we're bringing in all this old baggage and we want to blame or we want to make one person pay for what someone else has done to us. So, no, like I said, I have so many stories in my head that I want to put out there, but as they say, one book at a time.
Yeah, but you're living it. You're living it. It's almost like this, you're cooking a meal right now, and this book coming out is part of that meal. But on the stove, on that Sunday when you're cooking the whole meal, there's so many burners filled up. You got 4 pots on, so you got to look over all 4 of them. So while maybe one part of it is finished where you can put it aside and it's ready, the other parts have to catch up. So this one book is a manifestation of everything that you are, but there are other parts. Again, there are other branches on your personal tree. Yes,
and I will be writing an autobiography that I started. It'll be going back, I think I can remember back as far as age 6. Like when my grandfather died. It's because so much happened a little bit before he died, and then after he died, it seemed like my world just crumbled, basically. So I still want to put that out there as well. And I wrote a stage play that my church performed. It was called Jesus on Vacation, and that's another thing that I'm working on. Trying to develop the songs for the play and everything. Although we did it with pre-recorded music and everything, but it's a lot of things, like I say, I'm working on. All of my life all of the challenges, the trials, the tribulations of my life just motivates me to keep moving forward.
Wow.
And everything, and I have to keep going, and I don't want to stop. I do hope that this book does well.
It has to.
I'm learning that, but I think people get it that sex sells no matter what.
No, but you have the sex, but at the same time you have substance and lessons. I mean, it's like having junk food that's nutritious. I'm not saying it's junk food, right? But it's something that tastes good, but it's also good for you.
For you, yes,
You know,
yes.
and I mean,
And
in the sexual aspect, there's nothing wrong with that. God gave us our hormones. God gave us our genitals. God gave us our imaginations. And isn't it funny how even in our loneliness, God put our hand when you stretch it out, it kind of like covers that area. So I mean, it's a wonderful thing. He didn't put your,
yes.
imagine if our genitals were down by our ankles and our arm was 2 foot, 1 foot long. We'd be in
Oh my
trouble. We'd go
goodness.
crazy.
Yes.
We'd be humping on walls and, you know.
We would be doing some crazy things.
I'm
You're
telling
right.
you.
Yeah, but I want people really to understand that.
Yeah.
And really, as far as, no matter who it is, if you love someone, whether it's of the same sex or opposite sex,
Right.
it's still natural. It's still love. And we need to really open our minds to it. You may not like the lifestyle and everything, but if that person likes it, don't try to judge them or belittle them or anything like that. Let them live their life,
Right.
because it has no bearing on your life. And that's what we really need to understand. Because how someone else lives is really none of our business. Because in the end, and like I said, what it all comes to is that we all are going to meet the Maker one day.
Oh, yeah.
And how we have lived will be determined where we go. So, and these parents who are disowning their children because
I don't
of
believe
the
in
lifestyle.
that. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we know that the book says what it says. But since none of us are perfect, for us to sit here and spend our time pointing out something. Now, if people ask a certain person or whatever, and they give their opinion, fine. But you're not going to dominate your life. Listen, I'm not going to tell you about your backyard being junky and dirty when I got all kind of crap plus a whole bunch of doo-doo back there. I got some cleaning to do also. Whatever it may be, we all have a certain walk. And I always use the example of Malcolm X what if he passed away before he came out of the lifestyle that he was in, doing home invasions and selling dope and using dope and doing all kind of things, and we'd say, oh, just another thug dead. And we didn't have a chance to see what would manifest. Just anybody who's judgmental out here, I tell them to look at their own lives. Look at their own lives, and if they died at a certain point earlier on before they became the person that they are, and they may not even be where they're supposed to be yet.
Right.
What would their obituary read, or what would be whispered in the back of their funeral? Because we have what the preacher says during the service, but we also have what's being spoken in the parking lot. Oh, they said he was a good man, but did you see them old voluptuous women back there that couldn't really say nothing? They was in the back row and left early. Yeah, okay. So look, I want to do my thing before my time is up. I want to try, and we're never really going to get there. Are we going to be perfect? Can we bring ourselves through this life as nasty as it is out here, because I do the 8, so I was driving up and down the trail, you know what I mean? And Orange Blossom Trail, for those who don't understand, you can find anything out there. How could we come through this life and not have some dirt on us? And are we going to, and if everything we do is as filthy rags to God himself, God, Lord, how are we going to dress it up and say, well, I'm perfect? So for those people out there who feel that being a Christian is being an exclusive member that you can't become a part of unless you drive a certain car or have your hair done a certain way, they're in for a big damn surprise.
Yes, they are. I like someone put on Facebook one time, says no matter how big your house is, no matter what type of car you drive, your tombstone, your grave will still be, your casket will still be the same size.
Oh, that's crazy, right?
It's going to go on the same, ground.
Wow.
It's crazy. You're still going to go 6 feet under. So it doesn't matter.
Right.
So I think as a people, we really need to learn compassion. We really need to learn understanding and acceptance. Like I said, we will never evolve if we don't work together, no matter the color or lifestyle or anything. As long as we are divided, we will never prosper. And I'm hoping that, like I say, with this book, it entertains. I want it to entertain you. I want it to take you through every emotion but I wanted to enlighten you as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my ultimate goal, is really getting people to come together on one accord and say, hey, you know what? Okay, I got it. You know, she broke it down where I can understand where these are feelings. This is what happens when you love somebody. It doesn't matter if it's the same sex, opposite sex. You know, and we have to get to that point. And so I want when you get to that last page of this novel, you know, it gives you something to think about. You know, you think about how you looked at people or judge, or if you put anyone on a pedestal, or you set expectations on someone and they disappointed you. You know, why did that happen? So it's a lot in there. Like I said, it's not a very long book. It's only over 200 pages, but it has a lot of content in it, and you just really have to read it and enjoy it. I think some people probably won't be able to get past the first 2 sex scenes.
Well, they're going to have to take a break, you know, and take care of business.
Yeah, you know, it's going to, when you get to that point, you can move on with the story. This
Right,
is what
right.
I would hope that you get it and everything. Like I say, you may love to hate Nyvianna, and then you may hate to love her, you know.
Right.
But she is who she is. You know, like I say, she has her come to Jesus meeting and everything. And most of us need to have that come to Jesus meeting on a personal level as well. So,
you know, and sometimes we have that come to Jesus meeting somewhat scheduled, whispered in our heart, like next week we're going to sit down when you're for work, and we don't show up, some of us. So at least she showed up to hers, you know, leave Jesus hanging. How you going to leave Jesus, you know, stand Jesus up when you call him?
You know, a lot of us do that. We do that. We're like, Lord, I just can't come to you right now. Hold on.
But you know what? The funny thing, the beautiful thing about the book, it goes in hand with something that I said all the time about people who are atheists or backsliders. I said it's a very funny thing that, you know, we'll call out God's name or we'll say, oh, Jesus, at two very crucial times in our life, when we're about to get into a really bad car accident or when we're having an orgasm. So at least you have good sex in the book, because it'll help bring people to that point.
You're like, oh, God. Yeah, I wrote that in my first book that I had as the couple. She said, well, you know, let's talk about anything other than sports, politics. And then he says, well, that only leaves sex and religion. And he's like, well, you can't put them both in the same sentence. And
exactly.
Her character was like, yes, you can. It's like, what do you say? She said, you're getting ready to come.
Oh, man.
And so he's like, oh, Jesus. So, yeah, it's crazy. And, but I enjoyed writing that book and everything, so that was really fun there. But like I said, I am working on another sequel. But another point I want to mention. I am trying to really get my website, you know, up and running. I want to create something called what I call Circle of Connection.
Right.
And of course, I have my books on there. I want to let the readers know and listeners know that all of my books are available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and CreateSpace, because I am self-publishing.
Yes, give us all your contact information and everywhere where we can find you.
You can find me at www.marvelousimagination.com. That's www.marvelousimagination, marvelousimagination.com.
They can't forget that. Because when they read those steamy scenes, they're going to say, boy, does she have a marvelous imagination.
Yeah, they'll just drop the eyes. Not imagine it, just drop the eyes. Marvelous imagination.
Oh, okay, marvelous imagination. Okay, yeah, that's even better.
Marvelous imagination. And it took a minute to create that, but I'm trying to, because I believe in networking. I believe in connecting people and helping wherever I can, because it's a lot of people that have helped me on this journey.
Yeah.
To help pave the way for me so that I can understand, because the literary world is really a cold, hard world out there. but they provided me with the greatest of advice and connections and everything. And that's what I want to do, and it's what I've always wanted to do, is to connect people. So I am trying to create a section on my website where it's called My Circle of Connections. And whereas I want to promote people who are trying to reach their dreams,
Yes.
you know, and just need that little extra help, that little extra exposure, you know, and that comes from authors to editors to publishers and everything. If you have a dream and you're trying to make it come true and you're really working at it, those are the people that I really want to connect with and put all of their information on my website.
That's right.
Yeah. But other than that, my books are available. Again, they're available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and CreateSpace. They're available on Kindle and Nook, and they're also available in print.
You're all over the place. I love that. And like I said, what I love about you is that you're doing the damn thing. You're not a fraud. You have substance. You have proof. You know, you have passion, and you're doing it. And one thing I don't really respect online is the amount of people who put up the facade just for the facade, just to say. That's like a person setting up a business just to say, oh, I'm in business. You know what I mean? Well, what are you doing in actuality? You say you're this, but it's stolen stuff or just a facade, or you want to be seen. Get in the trenches with what's in your heart, what's in your soul, and dig deep within. And don't worry about the world. The world will accept you when they see that it's authentic and real, and that you were long suffering in your dream. And the more they dig is the more they find. You have this out, but you're not resting on your laurels. You're looking forward to the next thing. There'll come time one day when you sit back and get all the reception from the great work that you're doing. But, you know, a true artist to me never rests on their laurels. When they have one thing done, if they don't look forward to the next thing, they'll feel depressed. I know I do. If I write an article, it's over with. I'm looking for the next one. If I draw a picture, it's over with. I'm looking for the next one. And you keep going and ride the wave of time. And you let a year, 2 years, 5 years go by, and you look back at the body of work and you say, oh my God, so much that flowed through me. And there's so much more. And I love how you projected the other things that are inside of you, and they will come true because you're a proven product.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a struggle, and I mean, it's been hard. As I say, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm where God needs me to be at this very moment, and I'm okay with that. I don't want to be the type of author where I write books and just hope you buy them and never talk to you or interact with you. That's not what I want.
Or get mad if they don't agree or they never bought it. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, I'm like, you want it or you don't, but you know, take a chance. I tell people take a chance. You know, you never know until you take a chance. You know, failure is not an option; it's a choice.
That's right.
So, you know, I don't believe in failure. You know, I'm going to try anything. I might not succeed at it, but at least I tried it. That doesn't mean I failed at it. So, like I said, I'm going to keep going. I know that at one point I wanted to give up. I did. You know, I was like, Lord, you know, nobody's buying a book. You know, nobody's doing this. And so I'm not writing another book. That was after my first book, and now I think I'm on my fifth book. So, you know, I let God tell me when I'm done. And I'm not going to say that I'm done. Whenever he tells me that I'm done, then I'm done. But other than that, I'm going to keep going. I would love to get a whole bunch of readers. I would. But I would want to get the readers that would love to talk to me. You know, because I want to interact with my readers. I don't want to ever get so big that I can't connect to my readers.
That's right.
And that's what I always want to do. I want to stay humbled in this.
Yes.
And that's my plan and everything. So
it'll work. It'll work. It'll definitely work. People now, the internet has leveled the playing field, and there's so many people out here who try to project this false image, this photoshopped image, this cleaned up, perfect image, that people want authenticity. They want to see the real thing. They want to feel you. We know that it's an electronic means and platform, but they want to capture a sense of absorbing your essence. And when you put it down like that, it can't help but be successful, because the internet and the creative world, and like you said, it is a very vicious world, the dog eat dog. I didn't know, as a blogger or as somebody who shares original content, I didn't know it was going to be so competitive and so much hateful people who hate you for what you do because you show them up on what they can't do and they're competing. It's just crazy. I just do what I do. And I don't look around. You know, you peek to see if you're doing all right, but you just let this thing come out of your soul, and trust me, sister, you will be A-OK, 100% fine.
Well, I'm going to always cover my soul. Thank you very much. I'm going to always keep my heart in. And I tell people, I'm like a mango seed. You know, a mango seed is raggedy. You know, that's what I am.
But you know what, though? A mango seed may look raggedy, but you can't let it go even when the fruit's gone. You keep on sucking it. Now, I'm not saying it in a lewd way, but you know what? You're talking about erotica. Let's say it that way, too. You keep on sucking it.
And it just be so good.
For real.
Come out of it, yes.
For real.
And that's what I'm saying. It's good like that. And you have to thank God for the mango. That's the way I see it. But I am truly going to really just keep going at it. I'm not going to give up. And I truly do thank you for this opportunity. It has truly
It's a
been
pleasure and
blessing.
an honor. It's a
truly
pleasure and an
enjoyed
honor.
myself.
I love human interaction. I love to be able to connect with individuals on a real level. Now, if people listen to this and say, oh, they've known each other for 25, 30 years. And you know, we spoke briefly, but this is our first real conversation. And, you know, see, life taught you to drop all of the walls and drop all of the facade. And life taught me that too. So we can do this. We can talk like because look, your experiences and my experiences, when I look back at mine and you look back at yours, we can only talk this way. We couldn't have it any other way. Whether we met online or at Walmart or the laundromat or waiting on the bus stop, it doesn't matter. Real recognizes real.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Yep, and I appreciate you very, very much. And I truly look forward to our next conversation.
Oh, yes, because I really enjoyed this.
I know you're going to be reading that book, and I'm like, okay, you're going to... Okay. Yes.
Book going to make me go to work with smelly fingers, I'm telling you. I had to say that. What was you doing with the door locked?
You don't know what I've been through. But yeah, well, I truly hope you enjoy it. I'm sure you will and everything like that. And you will have questions. Right? Make sure you write down your questions.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because we're going to do another show with the questions. Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
I'll make sure I have my book on hand so I can reference.
Exactly. And I'm going to ask some questions in detail, too. On page 56, you know, while she was sitting on her face, she was thinking to herself, what do you mean by that? You know?
Yeah, I got you. Well, I will look forward to it. I really will.
Yes, indeed.
So, but thanks again. I really do appreciate this last.
Yes, thank you.
It's really been a blessing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you.
You as well.